And the third thing they need is a place where their cost of living is affordable, where their increased paycheck isn't being eaten away. And let me tell you what the stakes are, because the stakes are not just American. The stakes are bigger than that. Thank you. Never in the history of the world has water been so popular. I appreciate it. Never. Let me tell you, no. I'll close by telling you what I think is at stake. It's a lot bigger than just the American political debate. As you know, yesterday there was a transition in the government of China. So they have a new president, they have new leaders. This new leader loves to go around giving speeches where he refers to something called the China Dream. You may say, what's the China Dream? What does that mean? Let me tell you what the China Dream is. The China Dream is a book that was written by, I think it's a colonel, a Chinese army colonel. Let me tell you what the gist of the book is. I'll save you the time of reading it. That China's goal should be to surpass the United States as the world's preeminent military and economic power. That's what the China Dream means. In fact, in the foreword of it, he writes, another general writes that the 21st century should be a race to see who can become the champion country to lead world progress. So while we are here bickering in this country and arguing about whether we should spend more than we take in or what government's role should be, there is a nation trying to supplant us as the leading power in the world. And you may say to yourself, why does that matter? Some people would say, let someone else take the lead for a while. We're tired of solving the world's problems. And believe me, I understand. I do. It's frustrating. But let me explain something. First, let me explain to you who the Chinese government is. The Chinese government provides their people no access to the internet. The Chinese government will hold citizens prisoner without any right to recourse. The Chinese government coerces and tortures people until they get confessions from them. The Chinese government restricts the ability of people to assemble. If you escape China, they actually put pressure on governments to forcibly return you. The Chinese government has coercive birth limitation policies, which means that in some cases, they are forcing abortions and sterilizations. The Chinese government uses forced labor. And this is what they do to their own people. We want that to be the leading country in the world? We want that to be the leading voice on this planet? That's the stakes. That's what's at stake in America's greatness. This is not just about national pride. The truth of the matter is, don't take this for granted. What we have here is different and special and historic. In the vast history of the world and of mankind, almost everyone that's ever been born is poor and disadvantaged with no ability to get ahead. What's made us different is that here people have had the real chance to get a better life, no matter where they started out. And do not underestimate what that has meant for the world. Now, as soon as I'm done speaking, I'll tell you what the criticism on the left is going to be. Number one, he drank too much water. Number two, that he didn't offer any new ideas. And there's the fallacy of it. We don't need a new idea. There is an idea. The idea is called America, and it still works. You want proof that it still works? You want proof that it still works? Look around the world today. Who are they copying? They're not copying the former Soviet Union. They're not copying Russia. They're not even copying China. They are copying us with every step towards free enterprise. Millions of people all over the world are emerging from poverty. Millions of people all over the world are emerging from generational poverty because they were inspired by the American idea. They may claim to hate us, but they sure would like to be us. And the question is, in the world that we will leave our children, what will be the dominant country in the world? What will be the shining example for the world? A country like the one I just described to you in China or in other places? Or a country like ours? That is what's at stake. And I know that we'll make the right choice. Because I believe in my heart what I have always believed. That if we give our people the opportunity at free enterprise and upward mobility, they will do what they've always done. They will build and sustain a vibrant middle class and beyond. That if we give our children the skills they need for the 21st century, they will do what Americans have always done. They will change the world for the better. That if we do what we are supposed to do, we will always be who we are destined to be, the single greatest nation in the history of the world. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Marco Rubio at CEPAC. Well-spoken senator. A couple things from his speech that really hit home is the whole concept, taking it out of just the impact of current events on the United States to his description of the China dream, and really shed some new light on it. It makes it kind of even a little more urgent to pay attention to what's going on in China and North Korea and also in the Middle East, because you have this rising Muslim extremist movement, talking about Egypt and the events in Syria and Libya, and so we have fires all over the globe, obviously, and our weakness because of our spending habits just makes us that much more of a target. And Reagan's peace through strength, and that era is long gone, although we certainly can get back to it. I do like what he said about people being able to have different opinions, and his examples of having an opinion, holding an opinion, and being called names or being disrespected for that opinion. I think that that certainly is something that, as you look at this administration and Obama's practice of going around the country and just using his divisive rhetoric against Republicans, and then, of course, the groups, and there's groups guilty on both sides of the aisle, advertising some pretty nasty commercials, Paul Ryan throwing Graham over the cliff, etc. But I think it's time for us, and hopefully in 2014 in the midterms, this argument takes center stage, and hopefully the Republicans, or the conservative wing of the Republicans, finally gets their act together and has some message consistency. So that's my hope, and I think that with leaders like Senator Rubio and Rand Paul, we have some optimistic, some definite validation of being optimistic. Pardon me, I'm reading at the same time. We'll be right back after this.
Hey, BK, what's the think tank all about?
Oh, we're going to be talking about news and current events and politics, and our main goal is to also make it funny.
Funny?
Yeah, funny, yeah. As a matter of fact, if you haven't pissed your pants by the end of the show, we haven't done our job. The Think Tank, Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker.com.
And will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Damn politicians. My mother always told me this country would be screwed if the liberals had their way. The only sanity I get is when I listen to Jeff Wagner on the Conservative Voice, only on the Conservative Radio Network.
Jeff Wagner back on the Conservative Voice, on the Conservative Radio Network. We are going through a CEPAC Rewind, if you will. And I pulled out a few of the speeches that I thought were interesting, and some of the speakers. There's a gentleman, Dr. Benjamin Carson, who has been getting a lot of attention since the prayer breakfast meeting, where he was talking about his common sense ideas and solutions to the current debt crisis and health care, although he didn't go into that a whole lot. But he looked to aggravate Barack Obama as he sat not 10 feet from the doctor when he was giving his speech. And, of course, since then he has been relentlessly attacked by a bunch of nasty jerks on the left that are using the N-word and threatening him and everything else. But evidently he has gotten some 10 times the amount in support. So I wanted to include him here because if you haven't heard him talk, he really does come across as if he's just having a conversation. He doesn't prepare his speeches in advance. He's got a lot of common sense and a lot of wisdom. So we'll listen in here to Dr. Benjamin Carson at CEPAC.
All right, thank you so much. It's really wonderful to be here. I thank the organizers for inviting me. And thank you, Eric, for what you said. You made it unnecessary for me to talk about political correctness. Enough said. But I want to talk a little bit about what's logical and what's common. Enough said. But I want to talk a little bit about what's logical and what's common sense today, because we don't hear a lot of that. And I don't think that common sense should be something that is just for conservatives. Liberals and everybody else should understand and enjoy common sense also. For some strange reason, sometimes they don't. But, it's very interesting, the outpouring of sentiment that I received after the speech at the National Prayer Breakfast. I got so much mail, letters, books, just amazing from everybody. And some of the more poignant ones were from older Americans who said they had given up and they were just waiting to die. And now they felt a sense of revival once again. And that's very sad that we have reached a point in our lives where there's so many people who feel that they're not represented anymore. And this is something I want you people who are in Congress and who are in the Senate and who are in the White House to understand. You work for the people. You represent the people. If you can understand that. I also got a few nasty grams from people. How dare you insult my president? You are a N-word, and you need to get back. It's just unbelievable. But when did we reach a point where you have to have a certain philosophy because of the color of your skin? When did that happen? A reporter once asked me why I didn't talk a lot about race. And I said, because I'm a neurosurgeon. And they thought that was pretty strange. And I said, you see, when I take someone to the operating room and I cut the scalp and peel it down and take off the bone flap and open the dura, I'm operating on the thing that makes that person who they are. The cover doesn't make them who they are. When are we going to understand that? But the thing that really is important to me, and it's largely because of my own background, growing up in a single-parent home in the inner city with dire poverty, terrible temper, poor self-esteem. My nickname in school was Dummy. And, it was because I had a mother who believed in me. And she was always saying, Benjamin, you're much too smart to be bringing home grades like this. I brought them home anyway, but she was always saying that, She was very encouraging. And, but more importantly, she made sure that at some point we turned off the TV and started reading books. And, she worked a lot. My mother worked 3 jobs at a time. She would leave at 5 in the morning, get home at midnight. And, people always said to me, well, why did you guys read the books? Your mother wasn't there. Well, she would know if you didn't read the books. And the fact of the matter is, back in those days, you had to do what your parents said. You couldn't call 911 or some social worker or some psychologist who said, let the kid express themselves, And there was a reason for that. But, you know, the education